This comes to us from thinkprogress.org, and it's about somebody who Donald Trump just hired to be the senior director for emerging technologies at the National Security Council. His name is William Happer. But William Happer literally believes that more carbon pollution would be a benefit to humanity. That's his quote, would be a benefit. As he wrote,
is he one of these that things that like trees will breathe more or something?
Yeah, you're pretty much hitting it right on the nail right on the head on that one, because he wrote a 2013 Wall Street Journal op-ed headlined "In Defense of Carbon Dioxide." So now this guy is in the higher echelons of government now. Great. And it says here, so much for finding someone who understands that perhaps the most crucial emerging technologies for the security of America and all of humanity involve reducing carbon pollution. Sadly, this continues the trend of his administration ceding to the biggest job-creating sector of the next few decades, clean energy, to the Chinese and the Europeans, who are betting tens of billions of dollars on it. Because what's the problem if you're wrong with green energy? What's the problem if you're wrong and we don't really need it that much? Oh, we have cleaner energy and shit, and we don't have as much carbon in the air? Holy shit, wow, that's amazing. People are able to live off their own grids nowadays. Wouldn't that be great? No, we're not going to go with that. We need to fucking be more dependent on...
capitalism.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. And just, I'm adding more carbon to the atmosphere isn't going to help plants.
No. So, Happer, who's a Princeton theoretical physicist, is one of the most extreme climate science deniers, and someone who has directly compared the overwhelming scientific consensus that carbon dioxide causes global warming to Nazi propaganda, is what he says.
What?
Yeah, here's his quote. Hang on, let me bring this up. This is George Orwell. Okay, no, don't do 1984 versus Nazism.
That's not the same thing. That's fine though. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
it's not even close.
This is Germans are the master race. The Jews are the scum of the earth. It is that kind of propaganda, Happer told the Daily Princetonian in 2009. Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. I know a lot of scientists that would disagree with you vehemently.
Like all of them?
Every time you exhale air that has 4% carbon dioxide. To say that that's a pollutant just boggles my mind. Just because you don't like the way it sounds doesn't make the science wrong there, buddy.
Well,
aren't you guys the facts not feels people?
Global warming, global climate change, now that we're using that term, isn't people exhaling. That's methane's also a greenhouse gas. It's a combination.
It's not just carbon dioxide pumped out by humans breathing, It's
combinations and quantities, and
it's cars. It's people.
Cars.
It's like coal burning plants, it's power plants. There's a lot of stuff that adds to it. It's not just people breathing here, buddy. Let's see. What used to be science has turned into a cult, he said. And then later on in 2014, he said, the demonization of carbon dioxide is just like the demonization of the poor Jews under Hitler.
Carbon dioxide isn't people.
Totally different.
You can't exactly shovel carbon dioxide into a train to Auschwitz to have it work and then subsequently be put to death and then burned. We can't
exploit the labor of people. Like, we're not... Carbon dioxide isn't people. So...
And he says here, carbon dioxide...
They're totally different. I mean, if we could do that to carbon dioxide, we probably wouldn't have a problem.
And people are going to take this quote out of context in the future and be like, if we could do that to carbon dioxide, I would be a Nazi against carbon dioxide in that case.
Oh, no.
So, I know. Have fun with that one, Internet.
That carbon dioxide is people, and we're going to be back here in the past being like, carbon dioxide isn't people. And they're like,
X was pushing for genocide.
They had no idea. They had no idea that carbon dioxide was an actual person.
Yeah, they're going to take that one out of context, too. They're going to be like, this SJFW thinks carbon dioxide is people. Out of context.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. We've got to find the final solution to this carbon dioxide problem.
Shit. All right, podcast is done. We're out of here, people.
We're done. That was the show. Glad hope you liked it. Thanks for listening.
Can't recover. It's been a nice, fun 3 years, everybody. I think I kept my receipts to all of this stuff. We can return it to the store. That's all she wrote, people.
Good night, everybody.
So what are his qualifications for being a top advisor for the president on emerging technologies at the NSC? His only really relevant credential is that he served as director of the Department of Energy's Office of Energy Research under George Herbert Walker Bush. But that was a quarter century ago. God damn, that makes me feel old. And the DOE's energy research program is primarily focused on basic long-term research like high energy physics, as opposed to more applied research into emerging technologies. So he's not really quite qualified. I mean, besides the fact that he worked at the Department of Energy at one time. So since then, Happer has shifted farther and farther away from scientific.
The Department of Energy is the nuclear, isn't it?
Among other things.
That's part of it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Happer has shifted further away from scientific reality towards becoming a fossil fuel funded science denier. And there you have it. That's where the money's coming from. That's why he's in the cabinet right now, I would believe.
Oh, sure.
So it says here, for many years, he was the chairman of the board of the George C. Marshall Institute, which was funded in part by the Koch brothers. The institute was shut down in 2015 and essentially reopened under the new name, the CO2 Coalition. Jesus Christ, people. You want to talk about Orwellian? There you go, right there.
Yeah, that's a terrible name, first off.
Which promotes the benefits of more CO2 and spreads climate disinformation. So... Jesus Christ, this dude's a piece of work. So his widely debunked 2013 pro-CO2 Wall Street Journal op-ed asserts that in an age of rising population and scarcities of food and water in some regions, it's a wonder that humanitarians aren't clamming for more atmospheric carbon dioxide. Wow. It's just fucking wow.
That's not how it works.
Yes, CO2 can help plants grow. It's also if they get more water, among other nutrients, but CO2 is an absolute fucking disaster for human beings.
Well, it is for plants too, because if there's too much, I mean,
and not enough oxygen,
they can't survive. Just like with too much water, they can't all survive.
Well, we can't survive.
Some of them can, but yeah,
either.
I mean, we could. It's just not great for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing.
At least not at a full atmosphere of pressure.
No, yeah, we there's a reason they don't keep people on pure oxygen forever. Hell, most of what we breathe, what was it? In Utah, it's 22% of our atmosphere is oxygen. Lower atmospheres, it gets up to like 25, 26.
I think most of what we breathe is nitrogen, isn't it?
Most of what we breathe is nitrogen.
Yeah.
Now, we don't process nitrogen. Like, we don't use nitrogen in our cellular respiration at all. But there's actual like conditions of like ODing on oxygen, especially with some people with certain COPD. You can OD on oxygen. That's a thing.
So we do have nitrogen within our bloodstream. That's the side effect of breathing nitrogen.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but it
doesn't do anything with hemoglobin to replace to carry oxygen throughout the body. So,
but
it's just a filler.
You can actually overuse oxygen though. Like that's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, like if somebody's like dying or sick. And they're in an emergency situation. Yeah, they'll throw oxygen on that because you might be getting less of it because your breathing might be less effective.
And you could have less blood, and you need to be more effective as it's going through your body.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But like in general, we should not be breathing pure oxygen day to day if you're a healthy human being. So it's so stupid to be like they just need pure CO2. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, yeah, plants exist in a system. And if the system gets too out of whack,
if it gets too out of whack, it's not going to sustain them any longer.
Yeah, it's not
just like our own planet, you know.
Right.
So,
can you tell the air quality in my area is worse today?
For people that are wondering, Utah's going through like some serious fucking really close wildfires.
Yeah, no, the air quality is not great right now.
It's bad.
It's like 30%
It's all that CO2
smoke right now.
All
Yeah.
that CO2 being pumped into the air.
It's not good. It's not good. And in my area specifically is like right near where like that bad air quality is coming in, and I swear I can feel it. Ugh.
So
Man,
for people
it's
that might be
terrible.
listening and wondering what the fuck we're talking about, there's a wildfire going on, like I said. But it's like going
There's
outside and it smells like a
there's
campsite
7
everywhere.
of
It
them.
does.
Yeah,
It's
it's pretty thick.
It's not awful.
Yeah, and it makes it hotter here as well because the more of the shit's getting trapped when the sunlight beams in and it can't get out, and so
The fucking valley.
yeah, you know how about that's what the whole original thing about global warming was all about, or the global climate change is that like, hey, you get more greenhouse gases in here, sunlight's going to come in, and it's not going to like cool down as quickly as it used to because it's just going to trap everything in there like a blanket of fucking wool. So go you, Mr. Happer. I hope you enjoy your short time in fucking office here because I can't wait for somebody to come in and replace you and actually be for, climate change science and being for actual real science, you fucking twit. Yes, you may have more degrees than I have. You may be a Princetonian. That doesn't mean shit in my world. The fact that you're actually actively trying to cause harm to people is what matters to me.
Well, what kills me about these
Cashing
guys
in
is
for fucking money is all it is, too.
What kills me about these guys is what do they think the negative consequences will be if we cut greenhouse gas emissions or we reduce pollution? Do they think it'll just, do they think there's a negative impact to do that?
There's nothing but positives. It's turtles all the way down, but they don't want to, they don't want to get there.
Like at the very worst, far end of the spectrum, there's no effect.
Yeah. And if it's not that, if everything beyond nothing happening is a positive, you should go for that. You fucking idiot.
Yeah. that's
God,
when people say, well, it can't hurt.